So today we're going to show you how to take an engine oil sample on the Deere 332G. If you look in the operator's manual or under the hood here, there's a maintenance table, and you'll notice that they recommend taking an engine oil sample every 250 hours and changing the oil every 500 hours of service. Now on some of these machines it is an option for them to be equipped with sampling ports. If it has sampling ports, they will be located right here, right near the oil fill on top of the cooler. And if you have a sampling port like that, you would use a special adapter, take it while the engine is running, and then send in the sample. Ours does not have sampling ports, so we're going to have to take a sample through the dipstick tube. Before we do that, Deere recommends having the machine run for 30 minutes under normal conditions to get it warmed up, to get an accurate sample of what's actually going through the system. You don't want to let anything settle out of the oil or gather to the surface. So we just had this machine outside, have it warmed up, had it running 30 minutes. We'll now pour our sample. Also, when you pull a sample, no matter what fluid it is, engine oil or hydraulic oil, you want to try and take it in the middle. You don't want to take it from the bottom of the tank or the top. You want to get in the middle of the fluid area. I believe Deere says anywhere from the 1/3 to 2/3 mark, somewhere in that range. The dipstick will work for us and give us a good indicator of the depth we want to obtain. So before we do that, make sure you clean off any dust, anything around here that could fall in or contaminate the sample. It's important that the sample is as clean as possible and that we do it in a consistent manner. So we're going to pull this dipstick out, clean the oil off of it for now, and we're going to use this as our guide for our tubing. We have a suction tool here from John Deere. I'll put the part number in the description below, as well as the part number for this 1/4" tubing. And this is going to give us a good indicator of the depth we want to reach. So I just matched it up to the dipstick, and I'm going to use a piece of electrical tape to mark our level. You could use a black Sharpie marker or anything like that. In this case, electrical tape I think would be the most visible for the camera. And we're going to cut the tube about a foot beyond that just to give us something to work with our suction gun. So now we have our tube prepped. We want to keep the tube as clean as possible, so I'm going to start the bottom in here. Deere does say that it's important that you have the engine off when you're taking this sample if you're going through the dipstick tube. Here's our suction gun. The tube goes in the end here, and you're going to tighten this fitting. Now allow it to seal in the tube, give us the vacuum we need. And the first sample we pull, we need to pull 100 milliliters and discard it. That is going to clean out any residual in the tube, any dust that might have gathered, help us to get a clean, accurate sample. So if you notice, I'm going to push this in till we get down to where our electrical tape meets, right there. So that's the same depth as the dipstick. And I'm now going to draw my sample. There it goes. So it must have been a little above the oil level. And then you're going to take that sample off and discard it. Discard it in the waste oil properly. And now we can take our sample bottle and pull our real sample. So you'll notice on this sample bottle, it actually gives a QR code showing generic sampling techniques from Deere. That video is pretty helpful, but not specific to this machine. You'll notice that inside you will have a slip. I've already filled out much of the pertinent information for this machine. Make sure you keep that clean, because that's how they're going to identify the sample when you mail it in. And the bottle is already sealed with a cap. So make sure you open that seal, keep that bottle clean. If you're working outside in a dusty area, you want to be conscious of that. And notice we have a fill line right here. So I'm going to attach that to our tool. And I'm going to begin to pull my sample. You can see it's approaching the fill line. When I do get up to the fill line, I can stop it flowing just by loosening the bottle. We're almost to where we want to be. All right. Take the sample off. Cap it right away. And you'll fill out the paperwork completely and return that in the bottle to get the sampling results. The tube we used is a one-time use, so we're going to pull that 1/4-inch tube out and discard it. We can't take another sample with it because it would contaminate it from this machine to the next. And then we can reinsert our dipstick tube. It's important that when you do this, sampling time after sampling time, that you do it in a consistent manner to get the most consistent results so they can get a good baseline to compare and notice if there's any contamination with your machine. So hopefully this helps in performing oil sampling when you're using the suction tool.